on to part 38, and we're going to go to Matthew 17:14 to start this video. And there's going to be a story about the disciples could not heal or cast out a demon, and then Jesus starts teaching about his death. Now, what we have here, everything looking good? Okay. These verses were taken out where I last left off. And we're just going to start out from the crowd. A male came up to him, came up. Yeah, it reads better with the commas in it. And a male came up and fell to his knees before him. And he's asking for mercy for his son. He is a lunatic. That's not really truthful. He's having seizures. So the thing here is the word lunatic is wrong. He is very ill, and he often falls into the land, not fire. There's not fire every time, so unless there's a fire, then he wouldn't be falling, or water. That was often into the water, or often into water. I'm getting rid of the water and fire and just saying that he has seizures, and he falls to the ground often, and that's what a seizure or epilepsy does. You know, when they have seizures. Well, epileptic. Sorry if I've got that word wrong. But we move here, and they could not cure him. They wouldn't have been curing him. He would have healed him, could not heal him. Jesus said to him, added those words, "You are unbelieving in me," because he sent his disciples as teachers from him to do them. And not only that he was unbelieving in them as doing what Jesus said that they were allowed to do. So it first takes your belief that Jesus is who he is, that the disciples, when they went out and healed, before they were healing people. And I also needed to add this, like this, and don't need the word perverted, like this generation, which would be unbelieving generation. How long will I be with you, and how long will I put up with you? Jesus, that would be a sarcastic statement from Jesus, and that is, he did not do that. We have a prophecy that was said above where he would not put out a dimming wick on a candle or break a reed. So this shows that Jesus was a humble and kind male as he was walking around teaching that his kingdom is coming, or will be established. So we can't have him being sarcastic to people. He rebuked the demon to come out of him. That's not the demon came out of him, but when he rebuked him, then the demon came out from him, and his not boy, but his son. When I'm using words to define what they mean, a boy is not grown up yet as a son. There's they're born as a male, they're a baby in the womb, and a baby when they're first born, but then they are a boy or a girl, and then weaning takes place. After weaning, they are considered a son. That's why Abraham was celebrated, Isaac's done weaning, that he is now officially a son, was healed, not cured, was healed. And then the disciples came to Jesus and asked him why they could not cast it out. Jesus told them, because it was the littleness of his trust in me, not his faith, but his trust in him. That's like I was saying earlier, that they weren't truly believing that the disciples could do what Jesus was doing, so he didn't have that trust in them that Jesus had sent the disciples out. So I needed the word trust, not faith. For if they have trouble, yeah, I'm using the word if. I guess this is one of the times I guess Jesus needs to use the word if, but not like the way that it's been used before. So, for if they have trust in me, like a mustard seed, as small as a mustard seed should be, still because of like this, if they have trust in me, as small as a mustard seed. So I need to add that where. As small as a mustard seed, you will say to their mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Because Jesus is, the text said that you can move a mountain from here to there, but that isn't what Jesus is speaking about. Jesus is speaking about their trust in him, even though it can be as small as a mustard seed, but the object is it's there. They trust, okay? Then that problem that they had when you went to heal that person, that was their biggest problem, okay? Like a mountain from here to there, and it will be moved. So this is what Jesus is teaching here. Not that you can tell a mountain. Why would you want a mountain to be moved in the first place? It's just got Jesus saying stupid things here. I needed to add by Lake Galley because this is not a town or a city or a region as they were made it. Jesus told them, I, your Son of Man, will be delivered to the Romans. Not the hands of men, but Romans. And that's what the priests did. They first, because Jesus told us a few verses up that it's going to be the elders and the priests and scribes were going to arrest him, and then they were going to kill him. Well, here he's going to define who they're delivering him to, and it's the Romans. And here Jesus is speaking in third person, which we don't need Jesus speaking like he doesn't know who he is. And this, he will be raised on the third day, is not truthful. I know I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. When we get into Luke, we know it is the day that they're supposed to kill the lamb and roast the lamb so they can, at twilight, have this meal as the Passover celebration to start the first day of the year because our Lord passed over their firstborn sons, Israel's descendants' firstborn sons, and killed the Egyptians' firstborn sons. And what he did was said that will be the first day of your year. Now, when it says Jesus is to be raised on the third day, you have to understand that this preparation day, that morning of the preparation day, is when they took him before Pilate. And the words in Luke will point out that it was the next morning that on the first day of the first of the year, Mary went to, and I would believe it would be Mary and Joseph, went to the tombs to put more herbs and spices around Jesus's body. So the third day it wasn't, because when they went there, he was gone. So there was no 3 days to raise me. Then he'll raise me to heaven, or raise me to heaven. And it didn't take 3 days. When Jesus actually, the other text that proves that Jesus ascended into heaven, I can't remember which the books says this, but when Jesus died on the cross, when Jesus' body died on the cross, his soul ascended into heaven at that moment, for there was the earth shook. You can't look up the word earthquake. You have to look up the earth shook. And the graves were open, and they seen souls rising from the ground. Well, they can't do that until Jesus is there. But it does show that Jesus ascended when he ascended there. So he will raise me to heaven. They will kill me, then he will raise me to heaven, which is shown in that text. And they were very distressed, not grieved, but distressed by his words. Anita Dad, by his words. They were very grieved, deeply grieved. A lot of them didn't really understand or believe this either. I mean, it's kind of like they go on, just like you're saying, Judas was denying this. Even though Peter told him, yes, he's going to die, the way that, well, I guess this verse, forget what I just said, I guess. This verse is more or less saying when he is going to rise to heaven, okay? And then the earth shook, and they seen souls ascending, so we know that Jesus went to heaven. He came to a house. Not he came to Capernaum, but he came to a house. Now this has him all the way back up to the top of Lake Galilee, which we already know that these verses have him out of order, saying things out of order. So we'll just go with it, and you know that they're jumbled up. And here again, I just want to point out how jumbled it is. Who collected, those are taxmen anyway, so we know that taxmen wanted it says 2, I made 1 coin, because when he tells in the next verse below, we're going to find out that it is only 1 coin that he takes out. Now they're differentiating the value of that coin that's taken out to mean this 2 drachma. I don't know, what do they call it? A stater. Okay. So I'm going to simplify it by saying the coin tax from Jesus is what these taxmen wanted. Now, what they're saying here is Jesus is well, let's go on here. And they came up to Peter and asked, does your teacher want to pay the 1 coin tax? This way, um, that verse is cleaned up by using 1 coin, and then 1 coin will be coming out of the fish's mouth. So, because we can't trust those that are writing this or who have been editing the text. And we really don't know if the drachma was meaning 1 penny or 2 pennies or whatever the staters were. So to clean it up, I'm just going to say I don't know the values of their coins and just the coin for the tax. And Jesus said to them, Peter answered yes. And so when he went into the house, Jesus spake to him first. And here it is, Simon Peter. We're only going to use the name Peter. From whom do the kings on earth collect a custom or poll tax? But it's actually a visitor's tax. So we're going to get rid of the customs. Everybody had different ways to collect extra money from people that didn't live in the land. And what they did is, it looks like here, the Romans had set up in different places. Say like they crossed the river before the top of Galilee, there was taxmen sitting there. In the city, they had taxmen walking around. Now, these guys would have kind of known, because they were probably picked from that city, to kind of say that, well, that guy's a stranger. I know he's not from around here. I'm going to go over and collect a tax because he's come through here. And it's got to be a very small tax because he's going to be traveling many places. So it's just a small little fee that they're picking up, but they're going to get them, they're collecting them from people that are not from the city. And here, Jesus is pointing out that this custom that they have is a poll tax, but it's not a poll tax; it's a visitor's tax. He's asked them from where, and it's from the people or from strangers. I have all this down here, and see, I even noted that this is not right by being in Capernaum. That it just doesn't sound right. It was like the story was flowing that he's halfway to Jerusalem. He's been to he's been in Judah. Anyways, so he went into the house, and Jesus spake to him first. What do you think, Peter? From whom do kings on earth collect a visitor's tax from? Their people or from strangers? And that's what I just described. So that text is cleaned up. I shouldn't have separated these. I didn't. I thought that was combining more than just those. You can see how many sentences are in that verse. That's kind of strange that one verse has actually 4 sentences. This one has 2, 4, 5 sentences. And his answer was from strangers. Jesus told him. Consequently is not needed. A simpler word is knowing their people are exempt. Knowing their people are exempt, meaning the taxpayers, tax collectors would know their people are exempt. So now you know that they were from that area. They knew the people in that area and could tell, most likely from clothing, that who was who. I'm sure they didn't charge the Romans, okay? So the Roman citizens were not supposed to be taxed, as being a visitor. to that city. Maybe they were, because if a family come from another city to visit a city, and it's hard to say, but um, I'm trying to cover all things that pop up into my head when I'm saying this. And I'm just thinking that it's the foreigners, and Jesus is pointing out, and so is Peter, strangers into the land. Even though Rome was very large. Hmm. Stranger, okay, so poll taxes might be even from those just visiting, Romans visiting a different city. I have to think about that some more. That's kind of unique to thoughts that I had, that just how did they differentiate? Because Roman Empire was very huge, so how many foreigners would have been going through there? Yeah, okay, onwards. Had to add these words. Give them trouble, not an offense, but give them trouble. Go to the lake and throw a rock, throw a hook, throw in a hook, and take the first fish when it comes and open its mouth. Not that comes up. Take the first fish and open its mouth. It's got to be on the hook. So the first one he's saying, when it opens up its mouth, you'll find a coin. Take it and give it to them for you and me. I'm going to get rid of from you and me. I'm just going to say to them for me. I'm thinking they would know that who Peter was in their village. That's why they came up and just talked to him. So this needs to be changed. Mm. Yeah, it's on the screen better. Uh, I don't need to go over anything in the first verse. I needed to add called over a young, not a child. Like I said, the definition of a child is this weaning period where the boy are trying to think of how I divided these up. That's why I got my notes. I don't have my notes on because I needed to make myself a reference of these. Is how you differentiate this, like this, a young boy from a regular boy, from a child from a baby, and use these words correctly in verses. So right now, a child is not the right word because here it says he set him, meaning it was a young boy and not just a child. It meant a young boy sat them before him. Okay. So by having the word him here, I needed a young boy here, not just a word child. And he told them, unless we become like children, well, I'm going to add the word like young children, because I've got young boy here. young children, they will not enter my kingdom in heaven. So, take this. And that cleans that verse up. They're easier to read and understand. That's what I'm doing, is trying to make these be easily understood. And who is humble, or who is innocent, not humbles, but who is innocent like this young boy, is like the greatest in my kingdom. Don't need to say in of heaven, but because it's in heaven. So, yep, I don't think I need to explain why they're innocent and not really humble, because older person can become humble, but they can't become innocent. They can try to become innocent, is what Jesus is saying, but they really aren't innocent. For whoever, because it's the child who is innocent. That's why he's grabbing such a young boy. It's innocence. I'm going to have to put this color blue on this word here and take a really good look at that later in the text. And to do that, I need to bring it over here. Now we'll take another look at that word later, because right now my thoughts are a little bit confusing on that. I don't want to get too far away from what I'm trying to do here by showing you the editing. Receives to welcomes, so, and just like receives, welcoming me. As you can see here, there's a lot of verses that are going to be taken out, but I'll get to them in a second. Whoever causes not one of these, whoever causes a child, and this would be a young male or female, like we have the word man for male and female, the word child is being used as a young male or female. That is something I better note and update my understanding. Uh, okay, that's over with. Okay, kind of even straightened out what I've been always puzzling me. Believes in me to stumble from me, because it has to be about Jesus, is the intent of the word stumble here. It is better for them to be drowned, to drown themselves, because here he's saying that they should hung around his neck and to be drowned. A heavy millstone, you can't pick them things up. So this is just nonsense that Jesus is saying, and he's not saying it as a parable. So it's just something that's impossible to do. So it's better for them just to drown themselves. And woes are for those who are worldly, because it is their stumbling block. meaning the values of the world. They try to say, I have this, I got that, I got the best tennis shoes on, I got the best shirt, I got the latest. That's just a stumbling block in front of them to take them away from um, being humble and innocent before our Creator. Okay, it's inevitable. It is in, oh, that stumbling blocks come. Yeah, here, Jesus doesn't want you cutting off your foot and throw it from you. It's better for you to enter heaven, that life, crippled and lame, than having 2 hands and 2 feet to be cast into eternal fire. It's to repent and go to heaven. So Jesus is like teaching that even if you cut off your hand and foot or whatever, you're still going to go to hell. So this verse is kind of very odd. And having, no, he's not teaching that you're going to go to, he can't, he is not to be, he was humble. He surely wouldn't say, cut off your foot, because how does your foot, if you're caused to stumble, why would you cut your foot off? It makes no sense. The foot has nothing to do with making you stumble. It's your thoughts about what's being said and how you do things that defile you and make you go away from our Creator and Jesus. So, and you don't really cast into eternal fire. This verse just gone. I should be shut up and just keep going. And here, pluck out your eye. And no, Jesus did not teach you to maim yourself. Okay. These verses are gone here as well. This has nothing to do with what he just said. It's kind of just stuck there. And when you have these arrows, is what they found it. They didn't find these words in all the manuscripts. They found them in 7, so that's how they put them in here, and they wanted to note that. And you aren't that which was lost. Here Jesus is calling you a that which, those of you who are non-believers, Jesus would be calling you a that which was lost. No, he knows he's calling everyone. Male has a few rams, not 100, because if he had 100 and one went astray, you really wouldn't know about that, would he? Out of the 100, he isn't counting them every day. But if he had a few rams and one goes astray, he would know that. Okay, does he not? He doesn't need to say that to leave the 99 and go search for the stray. So what is your thinking? If a male has a few rams and one goes astray, does he not search for that stray? Okay. And when he finds it, if it turns out that he finds it, when he finds it, the one word can cover all this, finds it, he rejoices for it, not over it, for it, because he found it. It's their source. A ram is their source for their clothing as well as for their tent. So yes, he's going to rejoice over finding this one ram. Now that's the physical needs that they're referring to of why they have rams. But Jesus is speaking that not many in the world are going to be allowed into heaven. Jesus is going to teach us that the gate is narrow that you have to pass through. And how hard is it? It's going to be hard for people to enter into heaven. So Jesus is referring to this small group that if he loses one, he goes out and finds it. He's rejoicing for it because it's his, and he did not lose his. Okay. Yeah. Just trying to think of if I said everything correctly when I said those words to you, because I told you about um, the needs of that one. If a male has a few rams and one goes astray, I was trying to put that into concept why he would look for it. But Jesus is teaching here, and this is pretty much a smaller parable. So if you're looking for words that have parable-like words, this is it. This is what you're looking for. This is not the will of our Father who is in heaven, and one little one perishes. This is dies. Our Creator knows that no one can kill the soul, so it doesn't matter if one dies or not. He knows the soul lives on, so this is not really truthful. If your brother, now Jesus is, I'm trying to go back to the parable here and describe what these rams are. And that's Jesus's rams. And it's not if your brother or one of mine sins and one of mine goes and exposes them in private, because not everyone cares to be part of that group to serve our Creator. It would be like what Jesus is going to be talking about is like those that gather together in their way of gathering. I don't want to use the word churches. They're gathering places. And all of a sudden they make friends and stuff, and then one of them goes away and sins. Now you know that there's only 12 sins. Those are the 12 commandments. And if another one sees that or knows about that, he's got to go and say that's got to be stopped for you to keep coming and being in our gathering. You don't want to have a false person there among you. That's why our Creator was set up his tent for meeting for the 12 commandments, because if our Creator said to the priest he's not forgiven, now there's no text that says what happens about that, but I'm pretty sure that person was escorted to the out of Israel, no matter where they're at, and say, you're on your own. You're not part of us. You can't be onto another God. You can't be doing these things. You can't be stealing. You can't be murdering. These type of things are sins that were to kick them out. So here Jesus is saying the same thing. In those that are you're gathering, you can't have them there. So it's not reprove them, but exposes them in private. That member, I needed the word member as part of the gathering, listens to you. You have regained your friend, because he says, that's not going to happen again. Okay, and does understand he did what was wrong. Then it's kind of like, and if if that member does not listen, that person is supposed to take one or two believers. Um, and I needed to add believers because we're talking about those that are gathering because they have the same belief, or hopefully very close to the same belief. Nobody's going to have the exact same belief, so I can't say everybody has the same belief, but everybody has a like belief of for our Creator, and then next would be in Jesus with you, and from the months of two or three, um, then this member is either going to be confirmed by his words that the guy who just laughed it off and whatever, so he didn't want to repent, but he still wants to gather. Let me put it this way. Let me just give an example. Say that you're at a gathering and some of you break off to the side, and then you see one of the males get with females, and they go over there, and he's trying to well, that isn't a sin, because sins are not forgiven until Jesus. Yeah, I can't have the word sins there. This has to be does evil or does wickedness. That's does wickedness. Because if one is sinning, you gotta kick them out, because that's how um, our Creator's way is forgiving or not forgiving. Yeah, I'm kind of wondering if they use the word sin or not here in this verse. 8:15. Yeah, they got committed offense once. I don't see it as sin that they. Sin would be, like I said, if you don't believe in our Creator, you should be gone. If you're unto another uh, false god, you're gone. If you murder, you're gone. Because this would only cover very few. Into who does wickedness. You don't want wickedness people in your gathering. And I was going to give the example of a male forcing himself on a female. And that's what's brought up this, that it can't be, I wasn't describing sin. I'm reading the text over and over at the bottom, and what you want to do is have that person say, yes, that's what happened, but I thought about it and I will not do that again, then you're supposed to forgive that way. Because you can't forgive a sin. Only Jesus can forgive a sin. No, only Jesus can forgive a sin. And if you've seen your friend killed or you murder somebody, you surely wouldn't let him back in, no matter if he confesses that I won't do it again or not. If you look at, I mean, that was, yeah. There, I could say a lot about refuge cities and how that was done for murder, but yeah, the word sin is gone. It has to mean, pardon me, it has to mean does wickedness. That I'm really happy to have to change that to be more correct and more truthful. That's the key. Oh man. Okay, that's the end of this one. I babbled way too long. So yes, this here correction of does wickedness is correct and not sin. Sorry I didn't have you up on the screen, but this one's going to be the end of this one here. Okay, on to the next one.